Hello, hello, everyone. My name is Molly Kesey, and I am back with our Beauty Queens Galore, the Pageant Resource Chats. Today, I get to chat with Miss West Virginia Earth USA 2023, Alanna Lynch. Alanna, thank you so much for joining us today. Just so that we kind of get to know who you are, I kind of got a little glimpse of who you are. I may have done some Instagram stalking, but tell us a little bit about who you are beyond the crown.
Sure. Well, first off, thank you for having me on today. It means the world to me. But just to give you a little brief overview, I am 22 years old and I am originally from just south of the city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. However, I do now live in West Virginia where I go to school. I'm in my undergrad program right now at West Liberty University, which is just a tiny little town up in the northern panhandle. I'm studying broadcasting. I'm the youngest of five, so I have two older brothers and two older sisters. And I grew up on a farm. I have horses, and I love being outdoors. But yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
You also are in the US Air Force, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
What convinced you to join the Air Force?
So I actually come from a military family myself. Like I mentioned, I'm one of five. So one of my older brothers, Garrett, he was in the Air Force. And then one of my older sisters, Marissa, she was also in the Air Force. My father was in the Army, and both of my grandfathers served as well. And then I have some cousins in the Air Force, and I have an uncle in the Air Force.
So it's kind of a family tradition then.
Yeah, absolutely.
So was competing or becoming Miss West Virginia Earth USA your first foray into pageantry?
This actually is my first pageant. Very exciting, I know. I've always followed pageantry, and I've always wanted to get involved and be in a pageant. And now that I'm older and I can kind of, take those reins myself and I can lead where I want to go, I just decided that this was the right year for me to really go for it. And of course, the Earth system really caught my eye. I knew that this was where I was meant to be. So this is my first pageant, but I'm very happy to be here. I'm very honored to be here. And it's been such an incredible journey so far.
So what about the Earth system caught your eye?
I mean, obviously, the platform itself, like I mentioned, I grew up on a farm. So I have very strong roots and I have a very strong passion for everything agriculture related. And seeing how that industry really can be affected by neglectful nature, by, just not preserving the environment. And again, like just people being neglectful. Um, I feel like I have a mission and I have a purpose to make sure that I'm preserving that just because that's where I come from. So finding the earth system, I really found that it aligned with my personal values. And again, it was very deep rooted for me because this is kind of how I grew up. So I find it very personal for me to be in this system.
What was the biggest like learning curve you've encountered so far in preparing for Miss Earth USA, your first pageant?
Ooh, I would say the biggest learning curve genuinely has been learning how to properly walk in those high heels. I mean, it is such a big difference from, just walking around day to day if you wear high heels to work or if you just enjoy them for fashion purposes. Learning how to walk, like stage pageant walk in high heels, genuinely has been such a learning curve for me, but it's been so fun every step, literally and figuratively, that I've taken. I mean, it's been awesome, but that's been the biggest thing is separating um, whenever I'm wearing high heels just out and whenever I'm in the studio practicing, making sure that, my hips are forward, I'm stepping in front of myself, I have my chest is up, things like that. But it's just something that I'm constantly thinking about.
Are you jumping into this with or without a coach?
I do have a coach. Shout out to Fit Terrain and shout out Corinne. She's an amazing pageant coach. I'm so glad that I found her. She has been so helpful. And again, with this being my first pageant, looking back to whenever I first started this journey, I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to take the route of utilizing a coach or exploring those outlets or not. I am so thankful now, only a couple weeks out of the pageant, that I decided to utilize that outlet and use a coach. I'm so glad that I found Corinne. But yeah, shout out Fit to Rain. She's amazing.
So, as you've prepared for Miss Earth USA, what do you think has been something that you've focused on the most?
Hmm. I would say interview is something that I've been focusing on a lot. I'm a broadcasting major, so I study communication right now. So it's very important to me that that's something that I'm really focusing on and something that I pride myself on in my studies and in my personal life. And it's definitely something that I want to translate to the judges whenever I get that opportunity to sit down one on one with them. It's a shorter interview, it's only 4-ish minutes. But I'm really looking forward to having that opportunity to sit down and really show my personality and let them know what I'm all about.
So, tell me a little bit about your Beauties for a Cause and your change project, because I know that was something that you spent, I think, 3 or 4 days pretty much straight on working on.
Mm-hmm. So my personal platform is called Can You Not? And the NOT is an acronym. It stands for Netify, Optimize, and Transform. And the overarching umbrella of my platform is focusing on recycling. And my pinpoint focus is motivating college students to recycle. So I'm working on college campuses, I'm working with the college demographic. And for my Think Global, Act Local project, I conducted a can drive, a recycling can drive, should I say, here on my campus that was open to all students, faculty, staff, and the surrounding community. Initially, it was a project that I had hoped that it would be from Tuesday to Friday. However, I did have a lot of success with it, which was awesome. I had a lot of different organizations reaching out, wanting to get involved, wanting to bring their materials to me. And I actually extended it through the weekend. So I worked from Tuesday all the way through Sunday, being able to work with different organizations that really wanted to help me in my project and also just to help, you know, make a little bit of a difference whenever they can.
So, was it just collecting the cans and then bringing them to the proper recycling center? What was the outcome of it?
So I had up my own recycling center that I had set up, and it was in a central location where most students, faculty, and staff could get to. So that was the first step in making sure that I had enough bins to collect everything, that I had enough bags to properly take home, sort through everything, make sure that, if any trash had also gotten thrown, that I could properly discard of that. And because it was a recycling center, although my focus was on recycling cans, I did have a lot of students reach out and say that they had plastic bottles that they wanted to recycle as well. Obviously, I'm never going to turn that down. So I ended up actually collecting an abundance of cans as well as an abundance of recyclable plastics as well. Um, and at the conclusion of my event on Sunday, after I had sorted through everything, I bagged everything up properly and I drove them down to a local recycling center. I'm partnered with a local business called Scrappy Pappies. It's a family owned Going Green recycling business. It's a small family owned business in Wheeling, West Virginia. Shout out Scott if you're listening. But he has his own recycling center and he does some really, really, really amazing work. And I partnered with him because he's taken me through his recycling process for different materials. And he's shown me what he does to break them down. And the great thing about what he does is that he takes the materials that you bring to him and he also repurposes everything. So out of, let's say those plastic bottles that I took down, he can turn into tile that he can make driveways out of, or he can make roadways out of. So it's something that's very impactful. So for me, making sure that I'm taking them not only to a business that I know is properly discarding them to help the area itself, to help the tri-state area really progress in this whole Going Green movement. So yeah, I mean, it was absolutely amazing. And again, shout out Scott if he's listening. He's awesome.
Did you weigh any of it at the end to see what, like, the actual total weight of everything was that you collected?
I did not weigh anything. Scott did, so I don't have those exact numbers, but I can tell you in terms of cans, I collected almost 2,000 cans, which was awesome. And as far as plastic bottles go, plastic bottles was right around the same number.
How many trips in your car did it take to get all of that over there?
When I tell you my car was packed to the brim with bags of recycling, my trunk. I mean, it was like I was driving in my car and it was like my entire vehicle was like a big recycling mobile, essentially. I mean, it was like up to the roof. My trunk was overflowing. And, I mean, it was a little bit of a challenge to get everything down there, but being able to have everything there whenever, I dropped it off and seeing it all there together really was very rewarding. And it just made my heart so happy that we were able to make that big of a difference. And it might not seem like it's that big of a difference, but it genuinely is. I mean, everything that you can recycle and that you can take to a recycling center that is 110% recycling what they say that they are, it does make such a big difference. So it was amazing to really see after I had taken everything down just how much it really was.
That's so cool. Something that I recently learned is that aluminum is one of the most recyclable materials on the planet. Like it
Yeah.
can be recycled over and over and over again. And that is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that's amazing that those 2,000 cans that you collected now get to go on and do it over and over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm. And with recycling cans too, the really interesting thing about cans, because they can be recycled so many times because they don't lose their properties in that breaking down process. If you take aluminum cans, there's enough energy in, let's say, 12 aluminum cans to charge your phone for an entire year. So there's a lot of energy that's in these things that people just don't realize or they just don't understand, but it really is such a valuable resource to make sure that we're taking care of.
How the heck is there energy in the can?
It's the energy that, like, instead of producing new materials and instead of going through that process,
Oh,
the energy that you already have in those cans that you can translate to something like that.
that's so cool. I was sitting here thinking like rubbing like cans together, like to make obviously I fully understood that. That is really cool though. So in thinking about preparing for Miss Earth USA, something that I feel like you might be asked in your interview process is what do you feel or what do you say to people who feel like maybe climate change isn't real and that these initiatives to be more green and go green are just a waste of time?
I think that's definitely something that I mean, if somebody came up to me and they asked me that, or if a judge asked me that, I really think it comes down to a lack of information or the presence of misinformation. I mean, there are studies out there that say that it is true. There are studies out there that say that it isn't true. And I'm not going to sit here and, deny that there aren't people or there aren't scientists that maybe say that, maybe this isn't that big of a deal. But the proof really is, I mean, a lack of better terms, the proof really is in the pudding. It's all around us. I mean, you look at pictures from whenever we were, 10 years old or 12 years old, and the amount of snowfall that we used to have versus now. You look at, you go to a local swimming spot in a river or in a lake, or you go to the ocean. I mean, the amount of trash that you see, even just on the walk there while you're swimming, something like that, it's not something that can be ignored. I mean, it's quite literally, it's all around us. Even just, walking to class, you see trash. Um, Being in the recycling business right now for my personal platform, one of the reasons why I love recycling so much and why I'm so passionate about it is because if you can recycle materials, there's a potential that you're saving some of those things that would be sent to an incinerator, for instance. Incinerators are throwing off all those fumes from plastic, from metals, from rubbers. That's a fact. That's not something that's really disputable. So it really is all around us. And it's something that we really need to inform people about. It's something that we need to make sure we're giving the right information about. It's not as simple as people make it out to be, because it truly is all around us. And I mean, every business does it. Every person, they have a carbon footprint. Every person is contributing to this. So it's important to understand how there are ways that we can minimize our own carbon footprint to help and eliminate this in the future.
And kind of in that same vein, is there any specific pressing environmental crisis that has kind of stood out to you recently?
I think anything with the ocean, genuinely, to me, always stands out. It's heartbreaking whenever you see ads or anything like that about, especially the sea turtles. The sea turtles always get me with all the plastic that's thrown into the ocean, because sea turtles mistake plastic for food, or they can mistake plastic for food. And it's killing our marine life. It's killing our coral reefs, which in turn is killing more marine life. I think anything ocean related, definitely, to me, just I feel very passionate about. It's something that's very hard to stomach, and knowing that, the earth itself is over 75% water, and such a large percent of that 75% is being polluted. You look at, oil spills in the ocean, anything like that is absolutely heartbreaking.
When you look at your time preparing for Miss Earth USA, what are you most proud of in accomplishing so far?
I would definitely say the mindset that I've gained through this experience is my biggest accomplishment, honestly, to date. Learning to take it, like truly take a step back and just take things one day at a time. Looking at everything on paper, it can be overwhelming at times, absolutely. And it can be a lot to try and stomach. And it's hard sometimes to not feel like you have to take everything on all at once, all by yourself. So that mindset that it's okay to take a step back, that it's okay to, take things with a grain of salt sometimes. And even most importantly, that it's okay to ask for help sometimes. I would say that that's the biggest feat that I've come across, is really coming into myself throughout this process and realizing that I'm going to get it all done. I'm going to get it done good. It's just, I sometimes need to just take a minute, breathe, and just take it day by day.
What are some of the things that you've kind of have to slow yourself down on and maybe ask for help on in this process?
I think the most recent thing that I really had to realize that with was with the Think Global, Act Local project. In the video that came with it, we had our intro videos and we had our Think Global, Act Local videos that were coming up. And I think that for me was a lot, because those deadlines were all in the same congested area. So
Okay.
for me, whenever I first got that, I was a little bit nervous that, well, I had to get everything done right now. I have to do it all at the same time. And it just takes a minute where you're just, okay, let's work on this today, and then make myself a list. And then tomorrow I'm going to work on this. Okay, now I have what I had for yesterday done. That's off my checklist. So I would say those videos most recently was what I really had to talk myself through a little bit, take a step back. And sure enough, once I did that, it was smooth sailing. But I think just the initial jolt of like, oh my goodness, I have to get everything done and it has to be perfect. It's really just learning to take a step back and be like, it's going to get done. I have a plan. Don't stress myself out before I even begin.
Was there any part of your communications degree that came in handy, especially with broadcast and creating those videos?
Definitely. I do a lot of editing for my broadcasting major. So that definitely came in help. And also writing for the voice overlay that I did for those videos. That also helped, just having to have done that a million times before for different, public service announcements or small films that I've done or something like that. That definitely came in handy, that I didn't feel so blind going into it. So I definitely think that, having a broadcasting communications background, especially in the media sense of this whole process, has definitely, at least for me, has given me a little bit of comfortability.
All right. And do you think that's also going to help you in the interview portion? Because I know for me, I also have background in broadcast, and I felt a lot more comfortable going into interviews because I was so used to doing the interview
Mhm.
that I was like, oh, it's kind of nice being on the other side.
Fingers crossed. I'm really hoping so. I know I'm going to go in there and kill it. I'm I'm confident in, who I am and what I'm doing and what my platform is, and what I've been standing on this entire time. I definitely do think that what I'm studying and what I want to be after the conclusion of my undergrad, I do definitely think that that it's going to help me. But again, I guess we won't know until for a couple more weeks now. But I mean, I definitely think it does give me a little bit of comfortability. And it's funny that you do say that, because, giving the interviews is definitely a lot different than being the person who is being interviewed. So this is kind of a new experience for me where I'm the one sitting down, getting asked the questions, and then, I go to class and then I'm assigned with something and then I have to go back and then I'm the interviewer. But it's been a fun process. It's been a fun back and forth thing here, but I'm looking forward to it. And I definitely think that my studies hopefully will shine through in the interview.
I think they will. Just from my own personal experience and having broadcast experience myself, it can definitely help. So to walk me through the process of what it was like to choose your whole wardrobe for Miss Earth USA, knowing that this is the first time you've had to do that for a pageant.
Well, again, huge shout out to Corinne. She was a huge help going through this, especially with the evening gown portion. My gown is absolutely gorgeous, and I cannot wait to put it on. I cannot wait to wear it on the national stage. I can't wait to see it underneath all the lights. But it really came down to talking with Corinne, my pageant coach, and kind of developing a plan as to what kind of an image I wanted to portray. So that was the first step was, for lack of better terms, what kind of vibe do you want the judges to pick up whenever they see you? So then that came down to my evening gown. Again, it's absolutely gorgeous. I cannot wait to see it. And then I went evening gown shopping a couple times. I actually only went twice. I went to 2 different stores and that was it. I tried on, but it's funny now that I think back on it. The gown that I ended up buying was actually the second gown that I put on. And as soon as I put it on, I was like, absolutely, this is it. I know 110%. But I decided I had another appointment already booked. So I went through with that. But really, that was more just clarification that the dress that I had previously kind of already had my heart set on was set in stone. And then as far as things like interview and the other aspects of the competition that aren't so public, it was the same sort of process, really trying to break down with Corinne what I felt comfortable in, what I was trying to portray to the judges. But a lot of it really was how does this make you feel? Like looking at a bunch of different jumpsuits, for instance, it's like, which one stands out to you? Which one makes you feel the most like yourself? Because at the end of the day, I definitely want to make sure that the wardrobe that I'm wearing is a representation of my personality. So I definitely want it to fit in whenever I go in that interview, that what I'm wearing makes sense. And then vice versa, whenever I'm on stage, I want that gown to make sense where the judges are like, that makes sense for her.
I love that thought process. I love the whole idea of what vibe do I want to, show? What do I want to emote when I am in this outfit? I really like that thought process, especially for those that are new to the pageant realm, the pageant industry. I think a lot of times people end up just kind of going after what they think is the most pageant-esque or what they think is on trend. And honestly, that's not always what works best, because if that's not who you are, it's going to show. And if you're not comfy, it's also going to show.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same thing with heels, is if you're not in a pair of heels that you're comfortable in, it's going to show.
Yes, absolutely.
So what are you most looking forward to with actually getting to the competition in essentially 3 weeks?
And I have been waiting for this, but as we get closer and closer, I am getting more and more excited by the day. I cannot wait to meet every other delegate. Genuinely, I cannot wait to meet everybody. Following all of them on social media is fantastic, and getting, to watch interviews like this, or just to follow along with their posts or look at their Think Global, Act Local videos. The other day I was on YouTube and I was like spam watching all of the introduction videos of all of the delegates, just messaging a couple of the different girls to see if, we could maybe get ready together for something. I am so excited for the sisterhood, and I am so excited to meet everybody in person. What they're translating over the screen and over media has been absolutely fantastic. And I'm sure whenever I get there in person, it's going to be nothing short of that. So I am beyond thrilled to be able to really face to face get to meet everybody. And for a lot of the girls, putting a voice to their face too. I'm very excited for that.
That can definitely help when you feel like you have the idea of what somebody sounds like in your head, and then you get there and you're like, oh, wait, this somehow
Yeah.
makes more sense. If somebody were to ask you, well, why compete? Why should I compete, or why are you competing in Miss Earth USA? I think a lot of people kind of get caught up in the whole like, well, it's a pageant kind of thing. What would you tell them?
For me personally, I think this is a moment of self growth. Like I said before, this is something that I've always wanted to do. This is something that I've dreamed of doing since I was a little girl. So for me to be putting myself through this, for this to be my decision, and for me to be financially supporting myself to go through this process, it really means a lot. And it really is a symbol of how far I've come as a person, mentally, with for preparing for all of this, physically also preparing for all of this, like we mentioned, the walking in the heels, making sure I'm going to the gym, making sure I'm eating right, all of those little things. It really just is one big symbol that's all coming together that just signifies that I'm finally putting my dreams and my words into action. So for me, that's why I'm doing it. And I think anybody who has ever had a dream, either just like this one or just in general, you can do it. It really is just a matter of when you feel like you're ready to do it.
And I think that's the biggest thing is just taking that leap.
Hmm.
We were talking with Miss New Mexico Teen Earth USA the other day, and she was like, "It's really just you got to just take the leap."
Yeah, absolutely. It's pushing yourself out of your comfort zone 100%. Flying down to Orlando, meeting 50 plus new faces and all the girls who are vying for the same title, but at the end of the day, like, I know we're going to come out of there all as friends. It's something that you really do. You just have to push yourself to do it, and this is something that I've always wanted to do, and I really did just take that leap.
So, with competing in Miss Earth USA, do you think that there is a pageant career post Miss Earth USA?
I definitely think so. I've loved this so much. I've loved everything that's come with it. This system is absolutely fantastic. And I know I made the right choice by coming through with this system. But I do think that after Miss Earth USA, there's definitely uh, more for me to do in the pageant world, for sure.
That'll be fun to see kind of what you explore next, because it is such a it's amazing once you get into pageantry how many different systems there are, how many
Mhm.
different angles that you can take with it. I think people often think that pageantry is just like this small world and there's like three things you can choose from, and
Yeah.
even I'm discovering every day that there's new systems and I'm like, what, I didn't know that existed.
Yeah.
It's wild how many different kind of ways you can present yourself across
Mhm.
pageantry, which is really amazing. So, what are you focusing on most in these next 3 weeks?
These next few weeks, the number one thing for me is making sure that I am mentally prepared. I'm still working physically. I'm still practicing in my heels, going to the gym. But the biggest thing for me right now is making sure that I am mentally ready to go. I have that checklist in my head, like we talked about before, being able to take a step back and realize, okay, I'm leaving in, what is it, like 3 weeks now, which is so exciting. But that can be a lot to think about sometimes. So just making sure that mentally I'm in the correct headspace, which I am. And it's just making sure, day by day, I'm just taking it every single day, little piece at a time. And pretty soon it's going to be Christmas and I'm going to be packing up, getting ready to go. And I cannot wait for that.
So, do you leave the day after Christmas?
Hmm.
That's gonna be a crazy day to fly.
Yes. All
Are
gonna be worth it though. I'll have some really good stories, I'm sure.
that's true. Are you planning to try to get everything into suitcases? Are you shipping anything? Like, what's your process for that?
We have we have luggage, but the nice thing about being in the military is that they actually offer different luggage deals whenever you fly. So shout out the United States Air Force, but I will be utilizing those benefits. But it helps a lot with being able to make sure that I can get everything down there. Um, but things like my evening gown and my interview wear and my heels, like those are three of the most important things that I need to make sure are down there with me. So for anybody listening, calling the airline beforehand if you are flying is a huge help, because oftentimes there's a closet, like a coat closet, that the flight attendants have access to. So calling beforehand, letting them know, hi, my name's Alanna Lynch and I'm flying out on this day on this flight. I'm going to a pageant and I have a gown and a pantsuit, would I be able to hang them up? That is a huge tip. So I will also be doing that to make sure, again, that my most important items are there with me whenever I land.
Speaking of items, you also have a runway fashion wear that you get to have as part of a Beauty Queens Galore sponsored runway event, which I'm super excited to watch.
Me too. I'm so excited.
So, were you all given a specific color? Is it like free for all? What was your process for choosing your outfit?
So, sticking with the theme, making waves, obviously, I was thinking, off the bat, I'm thinking blues and greens. But then I could also see other girls going with corals or going with brighter colors for, fish or something like that. But for me, I went with a blue dress, and it has, again, making waves. I wanted to give the illusion of waves. So I'm not going to reveal too much, but that's my little sneak peek as to what my outfit is. And I'm also kind of DIYing my own outfit, which is pretty exciting.
Okay, now I'm really excited to tune in. Not that I wasn't already, but I'm so excited to see what everyone has chosen because I don't get
Yes.
to go this year, but I for sure will be watching everything from afar, and I'm so
Mm-hmm.
excited. You're not the first. I'm so excited to see like what y'all make because I've had a few people tell me that they're making bits and pieces for their outfits, whether it's their evening gown or swimwear, and I'm like, I can barely sew a hole in a jacket, so I'm impressed by all y'all that are like, I'm making something. I'm like, how? Not a talent that I happen to possess, but that's okay. So I know that you said that you're excited to meet all of your sister queens, but what is the most like what are you most looking forward to with being on stage?
Hmm. I think I think the most thing, or I'm sorry, the thing that I'm most excited for, honestly, is that feeling whenever I first get on the stage, because this is my first pageant and this is all kind of new to me. I'm really looking forward to having all of my hard work that I've been doing for the past how many months finally translate to that. And again, since this is my first experience and for it to be on this big national stage, I am so excited to finally get that feeling of I'm here and I'm doing it and I'm in this gorgeous gown and I get to go out there and show everybody how hard I've been working.
I'm so excited to see you rock it. I know it can be kind of daunting to do your first pageant, but you actually have the preparation and you went into it with a coach and you really you're doing everything right. I in my first pageant thought I needed to wear stage makeup and had only ever been in theater productions beforehand. So you can only imagine how that went. Uh you're leaps and bounds ahead of 99% of us. I am so excited to see you compete. I'm so excited to see what you've chosen for all of your outfits. And I'm just excited for you to also have the experience of your first pageant. I know as soon as you get there, sounds like you've already got the pageant bug and you're hooked on, but I think it's going to just solidify it even
I
more.
think so too, definitely.
Well, I know that you're really busy because you are a college student. So I am going to go ahead and have us play a game of this or that to wrap everything up. Do you know this or that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, perfect. So my first one is swimwear or evening gown. Which are you most excited for? Because I know you haven't competed in them yet.
Swimwear.
Ooh.
I love bathing suits, and I'm very body positive, so I'm very excited to see everybody in their bathing suits and just see how confident everybody is and see how beautiful everyone looks.
All right. Are you looking most forward to being maybe an onstage question or an evening gown or an interview kind of situation?
I would say interview. I like the idea of being able to actually sit down and have a conversation kind of like this, where it's more conversational, honestly, but and also getting, to show my personality a little bit. So I would definitely say interview.
All right. Dress or jumpsuit?
That's a tough one. I guess it would depend situationally, but I'm going to say overall jumpsuit.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I feel like it's more,
What's that?
I said, I feel like it's more versatile in more situations.
True. You don't have to worry about like, am I like, can I bend over in this? Like,
Right.
can I pick things up? Phone call or text message?
Definitely phone call. 100% every single day.
All right. Natural glam or full glam?
Oh, this is tough. Definitely, I think it's situational, but I'm gonna say natural glam.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Stay up late or wake up early?
Wake up early. I always feel so refreshed whenever I wake up early. I like to get up. Recently, I've been getting up around 6:30, and I always feel so refreshed whenever I do that. And I just feel like I'm a lot more productive whenever I get up early.
Can you teach me how? Because I don't know how to do that.
It's all about habit.
That's
Uh,
true. Liquid liner or pencil eyeliner?
Liquid.
Okay. Do you like the pen or do you like the little wand?
I have one that's like a tiny little brush. It's actually from NYX. You should look into it. It's fantastic. It's like a tiny little brush. It comes in a tube and it like brushes right on. It's perfect.
All right, I'm Amazoning that after this. Gold or silver accessories?
Silver.
Ooh, okay. I had somebody say rose gold the other day, and I was like, that wasn't an option, but okay, that definitely works. All right. I know that you're on the East Coast, but East Coast or West Coast?
East Coast, of course.
That makes sense. I gotta make hair up or hair down?
Hair up.
Okay. Are you gonna
Yeah.
compete, do you think, with your hair up?
Um, Not to reveal too much, but maybe one day I'll have it up. Maybe one day I won't. But I'm
Oh,
definitely a hair up girly. I think if I have an option, usually I would prefer to have my hair up. I think it just looks so clean and classy, and it usually looks good with almost everything.
I 10 out of 10 agree. I much rather have my hair up than have my hair down. Like this was like a first in a long time for me. All right. So the last one, because it's my favorite, sneakers or stilettos?
Sneakers.
Are you one of the ones that has like a sneaker collection too?
I do have a lot of sneakers. I call them tennis shoes, but I do have a lot of tennis shoes.
See, I call them tennis shoes too, but I feel like I have people that get really confused when I call them tennis shoes because they're
Really?
like, but you don't play tennis in them. And I'm like, I know, but that's what they're called.
That's what I call them too, tennis shoes.
I've had to train myself into saying sneakers. It's so unnatural for me.
I think you asking me that and me responding was maybe the first time I've ever actually referred to them as sneakers ever.
It's such a I think it's probably a regional thing.
I
I
think it
know
is.
that here, because I'm in Colorado, we typically call them tennis shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there I so many people get so confused when I say that, and I've had to train myself to say sneakers, and it's just not natural.
I'll have to keep that in mind. Maybe whenever I go down to Orlando, I'll have to make sure I say sneakers so there's no confusion.
Maybe that can be your icebreaker with all your new sisters is okay, do you say sneaker or do you say tennis shoe? And then you can like create a whole debate. It's like the whole is it a hot dog or a sandwich kind of thing.
Right.
And you guys can have a whole debate over it.
I like that. I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind.
Well, where can everyone find you to follow you on your journey to Miss Earth USA?
All of my personal social medias, Instagram, Facebook, whatnot, it's all Alanna Lynch. Alanna is Alanna, and Lynch is Lynch. And then as far as my pageant pages go, it is Miss West Virginia Earth, and that's both on Facebook and Instagram.
Amazing. I'm so excited to watch you compete. I can't wait to see what you have made as part of your outfit. I'm eternally jealous of that talent. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so excited to cheer you on.
Well, thank you so much for having me on today. This was a blast. I loved getting to sit down and just kind of chat with you for a little bit. And yeah, thank you so much. And I can't wait to go to Orlando, and I can't wait to have you watching and supporting from afar.
Always. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your night. And to everyone else, tune in next time. See you
Thank
later.
you. See ya.
Bye.